Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and the title of this video is Keto Diet, Impossible to Gain Fat. So, essentially I'm going to explain to you in this video why it's very rare that you'll see somebody actually gain fat on a keto diet. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, and then I'll get into the video. Side note, Keto WHEY guide should be up, Keto bodybuilding shirts should be up, so check the website for those, and thank you everybody for all the support during the quarantine and when I took a little break from videos. So, why is it impossible, or nearly impossible, to gain fat on a keto diet? So as I've explained in previous videos, when you do a keto diet, you are focusing on the qualitative side of the fat loss coin, not the quantitative so much. You're focusing on minimizing foods that are likely to cause fat storage, rather than simply lowering your total intake of food, right? Of course, you have to integrate elements of both of those sides of the coin. However, with a keto diet, you're simply focusing on the propensity of each food to cause fat storage. With a qualitative or quantitative approach, right, focusing on calories first and foremost, you're not necessarily looking out for that. You're simply looking out for the total amount of energy you're consuming, and you're lowering that, okay, without any regards to the individual insulinogenic properties of each food you're consuming. So, what foods are the most insulinogenic? Carbs. Okay, carbs are the most insulinogenic. They're going to cause a blood sugar rise, and then the insulin's going to be released to lower your blood sugar and escort nutrients and amino acids into your blood, or into your muscles, organs, other things like that. So, essentially, insulin is the fat storage hormone. And when we're looking at a keto diet and somebody actually making it nearly impossible to gain fat, it's because their insulin is generally lower. Now, of course, different macro distributions on a keto diet will cause different results in the total amount of insulin you release. But most keto diets, anytime you're cutting out carbs, your insulin's going to be lower dramatically than a carb metabolism. Okay, there's a completely different thing. It's not like you can go gray zone it in the middle. It's black and white. You either cut out your carbs or you have them. Okay, so your body has two engines, right? And when you're on the fat engine, your body's primary fuel is fat, so it's not going to want to convert higher amounts of glucose. You will still have some glucose conversion through something called gluconeogenesis, but that is basically the same regardless of what diet you're on. It's all primarily driven by demand, right? And how much activity you're doing, things like that. So, essentially, when we're looking at, why it's impossible to gain fat, it's because your insulin is lower. You can still use careful insulin spikes to, build muscle, right? But insulin isn't the primary driver of muscle growth. Amino acid availability is. And you can use an insulin spike from whey protein, for example, to get some extra growth and help escort those amino acids into your muscles. But the main point here is that your insulin is so low, and actually the higher you tip the scales in terms of your fat intake, the lower your insulin should be. So, keep in mind, there's still this quantitative side of the coin. You can still lower your calories, and by dropping your calories 3,000 to 2,000, right, every day, you're going to be having less insulin just by virtue of having less food, okay? Especially for somebody on a carb diet. And the thing is, the difference in your insulin is so dramatically lower with a keto diet than a carb diet because you're removing all sources of insulin, right? With the exception of protein, which will raise it a little bit, but it's a minor player compared to carbs. So, when carbs are out of the picture, what you're really getting is you are experiencing a far lower insulin state than your body's used to. And that's not a problem. It's not going to be dangerous for your health in that matter. And most people are chronically insulin resistant, so they have far more insulin than they actually need to have, right? So that is why you have people stay lean year-round if they do fasting, lean year-round if they do ketogenic diets, because they're basically the same state. Your body is not eating carbs if you're not eating food at all. So your insulin levels are being trained to be lower, and that increases your insulin sensitivity, which is one of the primary factors, will probably be primary factor in obesity. So essentially, by keeping your insulin lower and doing a ketogenic diet, or heavy fasting, but realistically keto is the best avenue to do this, and then fasting can come secondary to that, you are going to be having far lower levels of insulin and again, it's not about jamming so much insulin. Like, there's stories of bodybuilders having gummies after a workout or other candy because they want to raise their insulin. But in reality, if you have too much insulin, that will lower your body's sensitivity to it. It's all about hitting that balance. It's all about having an appropriate sensitivity to insulin so your body can use it effectively for building, because insulin is the body's most anabolic hormone. It just wants to build things and it doesn't know what it's building. So if you have too much, it's very likely that you're going to store fat, right? And it's better to be on the side of, hey, a little less than normal, and maybe you'll just get shredded. And then from there you can build muscle strategically with things like whey protein, with things, well, not even necessarily whey protein, but just by getting high amino acid availability. Excuse my dog. Now, that is essentially the purpose of this video. It's very hard, and I challenge you to find somebody who has gotten overweight by eating a keto diet. Sure, somebody may have gained a pound or two, barring water weight too, because people's water weight fluctuates a lot on a ketogenic diet. But you'll never see somebody get obese from eating a keto diet, simply because their body is chronically in this low insulin state. You cannot change that unless you start adding in carbs. So that is the gist of this video. Thank you for watching, and leave me some comments if you're curious about anything, if I left anything out of this video, and I'd like to help you out with that. So thank you. Go to my website if you want to work together, or experience some of my programs that are dropping soon, get some of my free guides while they're still free, and also check out some merchandise I'll have dropping soon. So, peace.